Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. We have the Empower Oversight gentleman, Tristan Levitt. You're going to want every single bit of it, ladies and gentlemen. They're not stopping in their investigation to get the information from the SEC. And we also have a sit down with none other than Perianne Boring from the Digital Chamber. You're going to want every bit of this. We're talking about stablecoin bills, stop the crypto ban. We're talking about XRP Las Vegas, you better believe we are. And guess what else? ETHgate. We hear Perianne call for an investigation of William Hinman. You're going to hear it all today. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Well, there's some of both. I mean, some of the obvious questions are there other instances? Do we have the whole universe of people that Hinman met with, for instance? I would even start from the outset. Do we have the whole universe of all of his communications from the agency telling him what the rules were? We know that he was told that he shouldn't take meetings with Simpson Thatcher. We know that he was told that he was supposed to recuse from all issues involving crypto. I don't know how you get from that to his 2018 speech, right? So you start with that at the outset and then say, okay, were there any reminders along the way? What kinds of trainings did he get? You know, again, what were the guardrails in place? And then what other things did he do that weren't in public speeches that the whole world can see? What other meetings did he take? If he clearly didn't give a fig about ignoring this advice, right? Then, you know, what else is there that we don't know about? And so those, and again, same goes for Clayton. Both Clayton and Hinman are on boards of advisors, for entities that they played a very significant role with while they were at the SEC. And again, these cozy relationships, I mean, some of this is really kind of the, you know, as I'd say, the definition of crony capitalism, right? They do things that benefit themselves. They go out, they benefit from it further. And of course, it benefits friends and other close acquaintances as well, right? And so you tend to see a lot of that in government, again, of people, kind of agency capture where what they're doing benefits friends and y'all go to the same conferences and those that you regulate, right? But again, to have a personal financial interest, that's a step above and beyond. From there, you get into not just unseemly and unethical, into, again, potentially criminal. So that's all of what we want. I would be if out of that also comes information on, you know, why is it that the SEC targeted Ripple and XRP specifically, right? Someone made the point to me recently that there were hundreds of other cryptocurrencies out there. Why pick this one to go after? Which I think is a very interesting question.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is a very interesting question. And I tell you, I hope that we get that answer. But right now, what I want to do is take us to this interview that I sat down with Perianne Boring from the Digital Chamber. Shout out to her for taking the time to sit down with us. And we cover everything current going on in crypto. And we even get her to talk about William Hinman and the information there. I think you're going to love this interview. So shout out to Perianne for sitting down for us. Let's go to that now. All right, here we go. Enjoy the interview. All right, we're here with the one and only. It's Perianne Boring from the newly branded Digital Chamber. Perianne, how are you?
I'm good. Hey, Bradley.
All right, what are we going to talk about today? There's a lot on the table. We don't have time to talk about it all. But for one, let's start here. Let's start very quickly with Ethereum proof of stake. SEC's leaning into it being a security, but the CFTC says it's a commodity. What are we doing?
Yeah, well, we've seen these conflicting statements between the SEC and the CFTC for years on the cryptocurrency space. So the SEC, I mean, it's interesting. They haven't necessarily come out and said that they believe Ethereum is a security, but we're starting to see that there may be some investigations underway. So maybe that will be some allegations around that soon. But the Chairman Gensler has said in congressional testimony that he thinks essentially everything is a security. And recently he was actually pressed by the Financial Services Committee Chairman, Patrick McHenry. If you guys remember, he didn't have an oversight hearing for like 2 years in the House, which before this Congress, because Democrats controlled the House in the previous Congress. And Chairwoman Maxine Waters, the Democratic chairwoman, in my understanding, their team thought he was doing a fantastic job. He doesn't need to come in for oversight. So they just didn't have him come in for an oversight hearing, which is ridiculous. I worked for a member of the House Financial Services Committee. Like, the SEC chairman comes in twice a year, every year. It's not like a question. You just do that. It's the same thing with all the other regulators that report to that agency. So it was kind of weird that he didn't come for an oversight hearing for 2 years. There was a lot of pent up demand when he got in the room that day. And Patrick McHenry, the first thing that he grilled Gary Gensler on, he just flat out said, "Is Ethereum a security?" And he just like bumbled around it. He couldn't answer it. And so that was all over the news that day. So it's been over a year now. But they didn't come out and say they do believe that Ethereum is a security. Hinman, as you know, said it wasn't. New administration's not really saying that it is, but they're saying the law is cleared. But when you're asked a very simple question, you can't give a clear answer. On the other side, the CFTC has said over and over and over and over again that Ethereum is a commodity, and it's regulated as a commodity because we have ETH futures contracts, so it's already regulated as such. So the regulatory clarity and uncertainty for our space continues. The saga is not over, and it's really unbelievable to me that in March of 2024 we still can't answer very basic and simple questions about the regulatory status of multi-trillion-dollar market cap cryptocurrencies.
It's so well said, because in that light, you're absolutely right. And then we go to the EU and we see 27 nations come together to pass micro regulations. It's like, what are we doing? We're one country, and the EU as a collective have put out regulations together. It's like, this is possible. And I know that we'll get there. You know, I do feel like there has been a decision, whether it's, you know, collectively or just from the SEC, they're going after these certain cases to set legal precedent for these different types of tech or different model structures of business. And whether it's Ripple or DeFi money market or BlockFi or now possibly Ethereum, it looks like they're going to set these legal precedents through these cases. Now, here lately, we've seen the judges kind of getting it right in several cases, whether it was Grayscale, Ripple, or other cases like Debtbox. But I'm still scared. You know, I'm still scared that it's up to the courts to like get these things right. The technology and innovation is so new. It's hard for, you know, a lot of people to really understand how these things really work. And, you know, for the record and the audience, you know, I don't believe cryptocurrencies themselves are securities personally. Now, you could package those things as security instruments, just like you could with oil or gold if you want to, but that's where I come from. So the audience level sets there. Perianne, what's your viewpoint on that?
You know, I'm still personally learning about so many different cryptocurrencies. And I don't think the right approach is to just say everything is this or everything is that. One, it's still very early in the evolution of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. For example, I mean, the crypto space has changed dramatically just in the past 2 years. So when it comes to regulation and how do we define very specific assets, you want to make sure we have one technology neutral regulation. So having, you know, agency officials come out and say this cryptocurrency is this or this cryptocurrency is that, not helpful at all. You want technology neutral regulation. And we need something that's going to be able to stand the test of time. So you don't want something that's too prescriptive. We don't want to create a box and then try to put crypto in a box and this isn't where it was meant to operate. I mean, I largely feel like a lot of these legislative efforts are still very premature. I like some of the ways that Singapore has approached this space. You know, I've personally spent time with the Monetary Authority of Singapore. They're really interesting. Their financial services regulator, which oversees all financial services regulation, and the central bank is all one group called the MAS, the Monetary Authority of Singapore. They put on the Singapore FinTech Festival every year. I've participated in that many times, spent time with the head of the teams overseeing all the blockchain stuff. Singapore was the capital of ICOs. There was more money raised through ICOs in Singapore than in anywhere else in the world. And the amount of money raised through ICOs eclipsed the public markets in 1 year. It's been, a domicile for the crypto space, and it's, I think it's evolved since then a little bit. But when I talked to them, I said, what was successful in terms of being able to attract all of this investment into this itty bitty little city state of a country? What was what ultimately made, your policy successful? And what they said is that we really take a hands-off approach. We seem to think our laws are very clear. If people can do what they want, if they have a question, they can come in and we'll clarify it for them. But extremely different regulatory approach in the United States, where you have all these different regulators and there's no way to clarify anything. So if we had things, if I was the president or the head of the banking committee or the finance committee or the SEC or the CFTC, I would make sure we're providing businesses the clarity they need to move forward and not operate in an enforcement posture. We want businesses to be able to build, invest, develop, and the approach we've done is essentially the exact opposite of that.
It really is. And I couldn't agree more. And a nice little side note of Singapore, which is a beautiful place. I did go there for a Ripple Swell conference back in 2019. It was an excellent experience. And Ripple has been awarded a license from the Monetary Authority of Singapore as well. So they are absolutely cutting edge, no doubt about it. It is 180 degrees different of the approach here with the regulation by enforcement. Yeah, so now let's talk about something else too. The Coinbase case, they had the motion to dismiss, and I believe Coinbase is considering going for an interlocutory appeal even, but I don't know if that's official. Have you heard anything else on that, Perianne?
Well, we submitted an amicus brief in this case. The motion to dismiss was not granted. So Coinbase had asked for a motion to dismiss. So that was the news this week. A lot of people were very disturbed and upset by that. My main comment would be, these motions to dismiss are rarely ever granted. We don't necessarily think this is going to be material to the success of the Coinbase case. You mentioned another appeal process. There's still a lot of steps. We're still early in the battle here. This is not over, and I wouldn't necessarily get your hopes up that Coinbase is either not in a good position anymore or not an ability to be able to win in their pursuit against the SEC. There's still a number of different legal avenues this case has to go before it all be finalized.
Many battles to be fought in a war, no doubt about it. And when it comes to that, let's take and move to stablecoin legislation now. What is your takeaway from where things are right now on Capitol Hill and the state of that? Now, I know we're in a recess, but what's the latest you have on that? Do you think there's still a chance that gets done this year, even though we're in election year?
Yeah, there's still a chance. And I know last time I came on the show, we kind of talked about political alignment and kind of just lining up the legislative process. So House and Senate have agreed on a deal. We had Secretary Yellen, the Treasury Secretary. She came and she essentially said, we need stablecoin legislation. So it was basically the administration nodding, saying, if you pass it, we will sign it. So it is, my perception that the powers that be have agreed on the language, there's a deal, and we can get it through. Now the process is, how does it when does it get on the calendar? So there's some talks of that. Maybe it'll get tagged on to a larger bill like an NDAA, but that's to be determined. There is a lot of political will for this bill to move forward, but it's, Congress has been in recess. There hasn't been any material movement on the legislative process for this legislation.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see when they come back, if this really does get dealt with, and maybe even put into a larger bill or something. We'll see how it goes. But I'm glass half full, right? I want to see this get done, and I know how important stablecoin legislation can be to this space and the digital asset space.
As long as it's done right.
As long as it's done right, you know, yeah. And you know what? And we've seen a few things get done wrong, like the definition of broker dealer, right? So
yeah, we don't, what we don't want is we don't want, you know, one monopoly to be replaced by another monopoly. And that's a big part of the contention of getting everybody
that's
aligned.
huge. Oh, that's huge. And in speaking of that, we had a great conversation about ETH Gate, the free pass off camera, those kinds of things, and understanding, you know, what goes on there, and level setting for the audience, because I know the audience knows well about it, right? And I'll just say to them, you know, we want to see, you know, everyone get a fair shake in this space. We want everyone to have the ability to move forward. Developers, entrepreneurs, innovators, you know, you name it, all of those people have the chance and opportunity to build their ideas on a value protocol and not worry about being sued or somebody coming after you and want to throw you in jail because you've done something wrong, when all you're trying to do is to build a business and serve people in a community and solve a problem for someone if you're doing something legitimate, right?
Yeah, well, I appreciate the conversations, you know, we've had about ETHgate, and I've had the opportunity to learn a lot from you, and I appreciate you taking the time to share with me, you know, your work and your research on this. You know, I would say from my perspective, the thing that's most concerning, that's really under scrutiny right now, is was there any type of conflict of interest between William Hinman and someone in the private sector? You know, was there compensation for the speech that he gave? That is extremely concerning to me. And, you know, the public policy process needs to be protected. It needs to be protected from bribery. It needs to be protected from corruption. And so to the extent that there is anything inappropriate there, I do think it should be investigated in depth by the commission, by the government, so we can, you know, make sure we have a public policy process that people trust. You know, that was just kind of one out of many things, but I think the SEC overall has really damaged its credibility just as a regulator. Not just in the way that it handles crypto, but I think you have seen so many just egregious missteps that people no longer respect the agency, people no longer believe it has credibility, and really the commission should be focused on just restoring credibility of the agency. You know, Chairman Gensler says he wants to be the cop on the beat, you know, he wants to take a heavy-handed approach to the cryptocurrency space, but he missed all the biggest blowups, completely missed FTX, Three Arrows Capital, Genesis, and all these other things. The Terra Luna just totally missed multi-billion-dollar issues. How? You know, and then at the same time, going so heavily after companies like Coinbase and Kraken and many others who actually had good intent. And that's one thing I do think that's missing in the laws is, you know, we should talk about a protection for companies based on everything we've learned, you know, in the SEC's handling of the space. We don't have regulatory clarity. If a company has good intent, if they speak with the lawyer, if they get a legal opinion, if they're trying to follow the law, if they believe they are following the law, there should at least be some type of protection. They shouldn't be the same level of penalties for a company that really did try to do the right thing. You know, if the laws aren't clear and you ended up getting it wrong, okay, but if you tried to do the right thing, that should be taken into consideration. And today it's not.
Yeah, you know, you can't say it any better than you just said it, I don't think, right there. It's absolutely right. And how did he miss so many other glaringly obvious things? You know, and there's so many, and they're so glaringly obvious, you have to start wondering, should that be investigated in itself too? Because I mean, it's like, how do you miss, you know, anyone, I mean, it was in 2 seconds when they first started going down the FTX rabbit hole. You know, that they were like, you know, the guy doing the audit was like, this is a joke. It's a dumpster fire. I mean, you could just instantly, like in the first day of looking at the books, you know, with a trained eye.
Well, it's really interesting. I mean, after the whole FTX situation started going down, I was in New York shortly after that, and I was meeting with a number of, not necessarily Wall Street people, but traditional finance people. And, FTX was raising money, and, he hit up all the normal suspects, and a lot of those people I know as well. And a number of them had said, yeah, we spent 3 minutes with this guy and was like, GTFO out of here. Like this is clearly like, you are not a serious player. So it's not like, it is kind of amazing how some of, how they ended up raising so much money by serious venture capital firms, because, people who were in diligence discussions, it was like literally any level of diligence, you would have been like, this is no way, this is not a good idea.
Yeah, something definitely needs to be looked into about Gary's practices, about how he evaluates companies he's met with, especially more than once, like FTX. Now, let's go one more carousel ride right here and move around to Elizabeth Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren, who I hope to help unseat this year with John Deaton going into the position here.
Yes.
But she helped you organized to stop the crypto ban, and that is still a very, very real thing. And we're going to have you at XRP Las Vegas along with Cody Carbone and the rest of the Digital Chamber crew. Tell us, wrap that all up into one for us.
Yeah, so we have a campaign underway called Stop the Crypto Ban, and this was inspired by our favorite crypto lobbyist, Elizabeth Warren herself. I call her the #1 crypto lobbyist because she has successfully convinced 20% of the Senate to go on record to ban crypto in the United States. So in honor of her, we are protesting her bill to the highest extent absolutely possible. We're calling on the whole community to voice their views on why it's not a good idea to restrict Americans' access to an open source technology. I do believe this is a violation of our First Amendment rights. Open source technology is software, it's code that's protected by free speech. In a democracy, in a free country, we should have every right to use anything we want to communicate. And that includes the way we communicate with our money and our assets and our finances. So don't tread on me, don't tread on America, don't tread on our cryptocurrency. We will stop this bill, and we're very ready for the battles that come ahead. And very glad to see John Deaton step up. He's putting his money where his mouth is. He's I've met with him about his campaign. He's told me himself that he's personally investing his own money into his campaign. And just kind of my view on John Deaton overall, what I think is interesting about Elizabeth Warren is, she has this name and this brand in Washington as being this consumer rights advocate. She essentially was the architect of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. She helped stand it up. She ran it. She left that to run for Senate. That's where she is now. She's the person who stands for the consumers, and she doesn't have any track record of actually doing that. And it's John Deaton who actually has stood up and protected consumers. He has a real track record of things he's done in his career where he spent his own time and his own money just to do the right thing, just to help people. And that's why I think he has a great message, and that's why I've endorsed John Deaton for Senate.
Yeah, and I do too, no doubt about it. And I love the guy, and he's definitely somebody who has proven himself to be a leader. Nobody asked, he showed up and just started leading. And he'll do the same thing for the good people of Massachusetts too. We're very excited to have you and everybody else in the Digital Chamber on stage at XRP Las Vegas. I want to tell them to make sure they get their ticket to the benefit dinner from the Future of Digital Assets benefitdinner.com page. I've got it on the website of XRP Las Vegas. It is going to be remarkable. It is an opportunity to have a private dinner with you, Cody Carbone, everybody from Digital Chamber, Christian Carlo, Digital Dollar Project, Brad Garlinghouse, for goodness sakes, Michael Arrington from Arrington Capital, Eleanor Tarrant, and you never know who else is going to be there. We're working on some other stuff too, right?
Well, that's all exactly right. We're hosting a private dinner. It is a fundraiser. All the proceeds go to support the Chamber's foundation. So you get a tax write-off for coming, and we appreciate the support, but it's going to be a really fun party. We've got a lot of thought leaders from the cryptocurrency space, including Brad Garlinghouse himself, Michael Arrington, Chris Giancarlo will be there. Chris is the former chairman of the CFTC. After he left the CFTC, he issued a paper, and he did a legal journal paper outlining why XRP is not a security. It's one of the most thorough legal analysis on the facts and circumstances of XRP. And so he'll be talking about that. We have Eleanor from Fox News coming, who's been just, really an incredible journalist, shedding a lot of light on some of the most important stories in this space, and others. So we'll be honoring a number of the leaders who have worked so hard to help move the industry forward and help defend the industry. And we'll be sharing about our work. So everyone is welcome. You can buy a ticket online. If you have any questions, just reach out to us through the website. And can't wait to see you guys in Vegas. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. And I can tell you, that party and the after party already are bigger than any XRP Las Vegas conference in the
tell me
world.
about the after party.
Oh, the after party is going to be incredible. The after party is a pool party, and it's already the largest event in any XRP conference in the world. And I mean, if you think that's big, the conference itself, let me say this, for anybody here, because we are already now setting a record for the attendees of XRP Las Vegas. We've already beat last year's numbers. So this is going to be remarkable. And
so what can we expect at this I've been to Vegas pool parties before, and they have a range of things. What can we expect there?
Well, you're going to expect some food, and there's going to be drinks. Obviously, there'll be a bar and there'll be some food there. There's going to be some great music, and everybody will be unwinding after the 2 days, right? It's on Saturday evening, right after the conference. We're going out there to have some good food, some drinks, and just celebrate the last 2 days of everything that's going to happen. And we have some very special moments. And I want to let you and everybody else know that there will be a documentary filming there for the 2 days that we're there. And it is going to be a remarkable documentary with limited episodes, probably 6 to 8 episodes. And it's called XRP Unleashed. And I know that they would love to speak with you and have you participate in it. And I could tell you, I've seen a trailer already. I've participated in it myself. These guys are absolutely top notch. The story they're laying out is remarkable. And you and many others at the conference and all of the attendees have a chance to be in this documentary as well. So it is an incredible moment to come and be a part of that, as well as all the information that we're going to be discussing.
Can't wait.
I can't wait either. Perianne Boren from the newly rebranded Digital Chamber. It's easier to say. I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, Perianne.
Thanks, Brad. You too.
All right. Bye.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. What a great interview. Want to thank Perianne and the Digital Chamber for taking the time to stop by. And again, get your ticket to XRP Las Vegas. Book your room right at MGM. Stay right on the property. It's so beautiful. They have everything you could ever want. And you can walk right from your room to the conference. It's going to be so incredible. Please get your ticket. I can't wait to meet you. And there's so many special things we have planned for each and every one of you. Not financial advice of me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.